Alright, so the first part of adding on your final varnish, the final step, the varnish, is getting out all your materials. So first, you're going to need the varnish itself. Here, I'm using this Pro Coat rod building thread finish. You know, the difference is clear. So that's the first thing you need. And it comes with two syringes. So, next you're going to need, I just use popsicle sticks, but you're going to need some type of mixing or like stirring sticks for your foot thread finish. Or, yeah. And then you're going to need something to you know, stir it in, just kind of a nice flat, you know, kind of container thing to put in. This is just like a stainless steel 1 cup measuring cup. It's good. You can just put in there nice and flat. I use this. You can just use like aluminum foil or, you know, something like that. Next thing you want is stuff you're gonna use to apply the varnish onto your rod. So most kits just come with a you know, disposable like paintbrush thing. You can paint it on, but I like to use a putty knife because you can just get more varnish and more like epoxy or whatever onto the you know, stick itself and onto the wraps. And it's good because you can smooth out the wraps nice and, you know, so they're nice and smooth, and even. So these are the two kind of utensils I use for the thing, the epoxy mixing, stirring sticks, and then the container I use to mix it. And then the next thing you're going to want, is, you know, a good place, you know, to a nice flat place that has stuff down. I'm just using kind of painter mats, so it doesn't get on this like window bench. It's just a bench for the window. And I also have, you know, plastic bags covering everything else, because you don't want to get this varnish on anything. And also, if you mess up, most people use this stuff, like acetone, because it gets it off real well, and you don't want to spill that, so I have that in 2 buckets, and a plastic rag, or plastic bag, sorry. So, you know, you want to have a good space to work with lighting, and then also what you're going to really need is a rod dryer. That's what so what it does is it spins the rod, so you can get a nice even coat of varnish on your rod, so you don't get any clumps or anything like that. You're also going to want additional supports in between so your rod doesn't, you know, bend. Alright, so then next thing you want to do is, once you've got all your materials out in a good place to work, you're going to want to kind of warm up your epoxies. I'm just putting them in, you know, a cup of hot water, or not hot, just warm water in between 70 and 80 degrees. You know, it gets them flowing easier, and they last a little bit longer. So, you know, you just want to warm up your epoxies for use. Alright, so the next step, once you've warmed up your 2 epoxies, is you want to measure out exactly 3, I don't know if you can see that, but 3 milliliters of each different, you know, Pro Coat thread wrap finish, and then you're going to want to put it in your container and mix slowly for around 3 minutes. And in the instructions here, it says that, you know, you're going to want to start mixing, and then it's going to get, like, white. Your mixture should get a little white. And then during that, you want to keep mixing when that happens. It turns like cloudy white. And then the next thing you want to do after it turns cloudy is, you know, you want to keep mixing until it gets like changed from cloudy to marbled. And then you want to continue mixing until it goes from marbled to clear. And then once it goes to clear, it's ready to put onto your rod. So, alright, so I've been mixing for a while, and you know, my varnish is pretty clear. I don't know if you can see, probably can't because it's so clear. But you know, 3 milliliters of both, so 6 milliliters of varnish is in there. Very clear. So now I'm going to apply it to all of my thread wraps and even across here, because I wrote my name and the type of rod in the Rapidograph pen. So it's going to be like, you know, permanent. So I'm going to put some varnish over that to make it look nice. And then, you know, put varnish all over all of my wraps, all the way down the rod. So, yeah. And then the way that I like to, you know, put it on, it's kind of by preference, but I like to start putting it on the wrap with the paintbrush, because you know, you make sure you get it all. It's good to get it all on. It's easy to get it all on with this, and then with this you bring in after you've already put a lot, or you've already brushed over everything here on the one wrap. Then you take this and you get some more and you put it on. And it's good because you can get a lot of varnish or glue or whatever on this thing, and then when you put it on, you can easily smooth it out just by holding it, because of the rod. And you want the rod spinning the entire time, because then you can go like this and, you know, move it around and it'll flatten out. So I like to use a brush first and then this, and then for bubbles. You know, there shouldn't be any really bubbles in your epoxy or your, you know, varnish. And then if there's bubbles while putting them on, when you put it on, a lot of those bubbles should kind of pop when you, like, after a while of being on the rod, you know, spinner, or the rod dryer. But if there is some of those bubbles that are just not popping, you can take like a lighter or something, you know, just a heat source, and just run it through, and then those bubbles should pop. You can try to blow on it, you know, anything to just try to get those bubbles out. But, you know, you don't want to take like a needle or something and try to pop them, because that'll leave a little dent in your epoxy, in your finish. So, I mean, if you do, then you should go over it, I think, with this putty knife. So, yeah. And the bubbles don't make the rod worse per se. It's just all visual preference. The higher quality rods that you'll find in this store will not have any bubbles in the wraps. You know, because it looks nicer and everything, but you know, it's still a good rod even if it has a few small bubbles in it. And then one more additional little tip, or a few more. You wanna, when, you know, wrapping your, or coating your wraps in epoxy, you wanna get about 1/8 of an inch of glue on either side of the wrap on the rod. Just, so you secure it to the rod so it's just not on the wrap. So just 1/8 inch on outside of the wrap, on the outside and the inside. And then when you're doing a guide like this, there will be a little gap behind, like on the inside, where the guide meets the rod. You're gonna want to put some epoxy or some varnish inside there so it covers that gap. Because if you don't, then water will get inside those wraps. And I mean, it doesn't really hurt the wraps. It just over time will discolor them. And again, that's a visual preference. So I would advise, putting some epoxy or varnish or whatever inside those, in the back of those guides. So, yeah, that's about everything. So you just, apply it all on, and then you're gonna wanna let it spin for about 24 hours. And then for your first coat, and then for your second coat, you're gonna want to put on your second coat within a day or 1 to 5 days after letting this dry. So, all right. So now you can see my varnish is pretty clear. So now I'm going to begin applying the varnish, and you want to make sure the rod is spinning while you do this. It's very important because that will help you get an even coat. And the brush is good to use on the first, when you first put on the varnish, because there's not as much drippage. And you can also get a nice line of how much epoxy you want, off the wrap. So that, you want a little bit off the wrap on either side, about 1/8 of an inch, just to secure it down. And so once you've got the whole thing covered, and you go in with the putty knife. That's what I found works the best. Putty knife just allows you to get a little more bulk to the wrap, and also to smooth it out. So, just gonna get a little brush here. Just to try to get it. You want to get some of this varnish underneath the guides, because it helps protect them, and you don't get as many, or the water won't get under the thread wraps. And I mean, nothing really bad happens if the water gets under. It just there's a lot of discoloration. So trying to avoid that. I have completed my first coat, and I waited 24 hours. And now I'm going to do this coat. And then after 24 hours of letting my second coat dry, it's pretty much ready to use. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put on my second coat now. Alright, so I've now pretty much finished my rod. I've done both coats of varnish, and now the second coat is just drying, so. Yeah, so there's my entire rod, it's done.